This is the biggest story shaking the Nigerian internet right now, and I know exactly why you are here, because the headline, Tinubu Order, released Nnamdi Kanu as NBA steps in, suspends Omotosho allegedly, is everywhere, and it has set social media on fire with confusion and excitement in equal measure. Everyone is asking if the president has finally signed the papers or if the judiciary is currently in a massive crisis. And today, I'm going to break down every single piece of this unfolding saga for you, because what is happening behind the scenes is even more dramatic than what you see on the surface. We are looking at a situation that involves the presidency, the Nigerian Bar Association, a Federal High Court judge, and the most controversial prisoner in the country. And to understand if this headline is fact or fiction, we have to look at the events that have just happened in these first few weeks of January 2026 and the explosive end to 2025 that triggered all of this. To get to the bottom of this order and suspension story, we first have to talk about the man at the center of the judicial storm, Justice James Omotosho of the Federal High Court in Abuja. Because without understanding his role, you cannot understand why people are shouting that he has been suspended or why the NBA is being called to step in. You will recall that late last year, specifically in November 2025, it was Justice Omotosho who handed down that life imprisonment sentence to the IPOB leader, Nnamdi Kanu, a judgment that shocked many who were expecting a political solution or a lesser sentence. That courtroom drama was intense, with Kanu shouting, "Where is the law?" and accusing the judge of bias before being taken out of the courtroom, and that singular moment created a ripple effect that has now exploded into these rumors we are seeing today about suspensions and presidential orders. The tension has been building up for months, and now in January 2026, it seems the pressure has reached a boiling point where the line between what the people want and what the law says is becoming very blurry. Let us look closely at the claim that the Nigerian Bar Association, the NBA, has stepped in and allegedly suspended Justice Omotosho. This is the part of the story that is getting the legal community very agitated, because as you know, the NBA does not actually have the power to suspend a judge directly, as that's the job of the National Judicial Council, or NJC. But the rumor is coming from a place of deep frustration and massive petitions. The backstory here is that the Kanu family and their legal team have been openly criticizing the NBA for months, accusing the body of lawyers of keeping quiet while what they call a travesty of justice was going on in Omotosho's court. They wrote powerful letters saying the NBA has lost its voice and failing to defend the rule of law. And because of this intense public pressure, the narrative out there on the streets is that the NBA has finally woken up and taken action against the judge. While we have not seen an official press release from the NBA president this morning confirming a suspension, the fact that this story is trending tells you that the legal battles are shifting from the courtroom to the court of public opinion, and people are desperate to see the Bar Association take a side. Now, let's talk about the big one, the claim that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has ordered the release of Nnamdi Kanu. This is the news that everyone in the southeast and indeed across the country has been waiting to hear. And the reason this headline is flying around today is because of the massive pressure that has been piled on the president in the last few weeks. Just recently, we saw a letter from 44 federal lawmakers, senators and House of Reps members from both the North and the South, urging the president to use his constitutional powers to discontinue the case and free Kanu. They argued that the continued detention is not serving any purpose other than fueling insecurity, and that a political release is the only way to bring peace. When you combine that high-level political pressure with the rumors of international lobbying from the US and even claims of ICC involvement, you can see why the internet is convinced that an order has been given. The gist is that the president might be looking for a way to calm the tension without it looking like he's overruling the judiciary, and that is why these stories of orders are leaking out. However, we need to be very careful with the details, because in this era of information warfare, there are many conflicting reports. There was a viral report claiming that Justice Omotosho was set to revisit the case because of a mandate from the International Criminal Court, the ICC. But legal experts have come out to say that a High Court judge cannot just reverse his own judgment after delivering it, and that the only way forward is through the Court of Appeal. This tells us that there is a lot of wishful thinking being packaged as news, but it also reveals the desperate hope of millions of Nigerians who just want this saga to end. The fact that people are circulating news about the judge being suspended or the president ordering a release shows that the public has lost faith in the normal court process and is looking for a dramatic intervention from above. The situation with Justice Omotosho is particularly heated because he has become the face of the state's hardline stance against Kanu. After the November 2025 sentencing, there were even fake news reports claiming he had survived an assassination attempt, which the court had to come out and aggressively debunk. This shows you the level of danger and volatility surrounding this case. The judge stated in his ruling that he actually showed mercy by not giving the death penalty and choosing life imprisonment instead, citing religious grounds. But for the supporters of the IPOB leader, a life sentence is unacceptable. This disconnect between the judge's perspective and the public's expectation is what is fueling these rumors of his suspension. People are arguing that if the NBA is truly the guardian of justice, they should have flagged the procedural issues raised by Kanu's lawyers, such as the argument that you cannot try someone on a charge that is not supported by a written law. If you are enjoying this breakdown of the Nnamdi Kanu saga and you want to stay updated on whether President Tinubu actually signs that release order or if the appeal court overturns the life sentence, please make sure you like this video right now. It really helps the channel grow and ensures that more people get to see the truth behind the headlines. And if you haven't already, please subscribe and turn on that notification bell because things are moving very fast in Abuja and you don't want to be the last person to know when the next big development drops. We are tracking every move from the villa and the courts, so join the community and let's keep the conversation going. Returning to the issue of the presidential order, we have to look at the political calculations of President Tinubu in 2026. The year has started with economic reforms and a push for stability, and the continued unrest in the southeast, including the sit-at-home orders that are still destroying the economy of the region, is a major headache for the administration. The security reports are likely telling the president that keeping Kanu in prison for life will only harden the agitation, and that is why the release order headline is so believable. It is very possible that what we are hearing is a leak of internal discussions or a testing of the waters by the presidency to see how the public would react to a political solution. The 44 lawmakers who signed that petition are no small boys. They represent a significant chunk of the country's political class, and their voice cannot be easily ignored by the president. Let us also look at the alleged suspension of Omotosho again. In the legal world, when a judge is accused of bias or misconduct, the petition goes to the NJC. But the NBA plays a vital role in amplifying those petitions. The suspension in the headline might be a twisted version of the NBA setting up a committee to investigate the conduct of the trial or the heated exchanges that happened in court. You remember the video where Kanu was shouting, "God will punish you" at the prosecution. That kind of breakdown in courtroom decorum is something the NBA takes seriously. If the Bar Association decides that the trial was not conducted in a way that respects the dignity of the justice system, they can make strong recommendations. So while the judge might still be sitting on the bench today, his reputation and his standing are definitely under suspension in the eyes of the public and the defense team. We also have to consider the role of the international community. There have been reports of lobbying groups in Washington, D.C. pushing the new U.S. administration to intervene in the Nigerian rights situation. The headline mentions the U.S. and ICC in the context of pressure, and this is not entirely baseless. The Kanu family has always internationalized this case, and if the Tinubu government feels that keeping Kanu is damaging its international image or its relationship with key allies, the order for release could come not as a judicial act but as a diplomatic necessity. This is why the news is so complex. It's a mix of law, local politics, and international diplomacy all wrapped into one. The watch video part of the headline you saw likely refers to the clips of the courtroom outbursts or the protests that have been happening. Visuals are very powerful, and seeing the way the IPOB leader was mishandled or the way the judge stormed out plays a big role in shaping public opinion. The narrative that is being built is one of persecution versus rule of law. For the government, they are upholding the law against terrorism. For the supporters, they are fighting for freedom against a biased system. This clash is what makes every rumor, every headline, and every whisper from Abuja go viral instantly. It is also interesting to note the timing. We are in January 2026, a time when the government is trying to set the tone for the rest of the year. Resolving the Kanu issue would be a massive political win for Tinubu if he can pull it off without looking weak. It would stabilize the Southeast, improve the economy, and silence a major distraction. On the other hand, releasing a man sentenced to life imprisonment just few months ago would make the judiciary look completely irrelevant. This is the dilemma. The order to release him would basically be a pardon or a discontinuation of the case by the Attorney General, which is constitutional, but it would definitely cause friction with the judges who have spent years trying this case. This friction is likely what the NBA steps in part of the headline is hinting at, a clash between the executive's desire for peace and the judiciary's desire for order.